ESPN Plus, I'm Dan Thomas, joined by Shaka Hislop, Stevie Nicol and Ali Moreno. Julian Laurent will be joining us later when we'll be reflecting on another bad day. It's been a bad season for Atletico Madrid as they are out of the Copa del Rey. Plus, we'll be hearing from Chicharito in his press conference, his first one as an LA Galaxy player. We start, though, in the Premier League. Wolves taking on Liverpool. Good game, this, as you'd expect from two teams who are doing well. Obviously, Liverpool slightly better than Wolves. We can find in the 8th minute. Jordan Henderson 1-0.
Accidental header by Jordan Henderson. Off the head, off his shoulder, up and around Rui Patricio. 1-0. He'll take it.
What a chance for Wolves, though, to get the equaliser moments after that. Doherty puts his header wide.
Yeah, he gets in front of the ball, can't adjust to get it on target, and the ball ends up wide of the post.
A big moment here. Sadio Mane goes down injured. He would be replaced by Minamino. Liverpool faded, really, when Mane came off. 6 minutes into the second half, and Adam Traore into Raúl Jiménez to make it 1-1.
It's a great header by Jiménez, but look at the ball from Traore. Just way too much pace. Van Dijk can't get close, and he just picks out Jiménez here, who makes no mistake.
And then it was all about Alisson. A big couple of saves. First one coming in the 65th minute to deny Traore.
Well, you're scared of Traore with his pace, so you back up, Alisson comes up with a save.
And he does so again here to deny Jimenez with his face.
All counts, Shaka, right?
That's right.
But then almost the inevitability that is Liverpool at the moment. They would get a late winner, Firmino with the goal.
Henderson does really well. Salah trying to find room, can't. Henderson following up. He's aware of Firmino, and that is some finish.
A late chance for Wolves. It would fall to Diego Jota.
Oh.
Jimenez brings it down, drops it to Jota. Jota can't put it on target. 2-1 Liverpool.
Thoroughly entertaining game then as it finishes Wolves 1, Liverpool 2. Now, what does all that mean? Well, Liverpool are 16 points ahead of Manchester City at the top of the table. Liverpool also have a game in hand, by the way.
It's over!
It's incredible. 32 Premier League matches. They've won 31 of them, drawn 1. 94 points out of a possible 96. Stevie, they're like a machine.
Yeah. Well, they've been like a machine. They weren't like a machine for a period today. When they changed from 3 up front to 2 up front, they were anything but a machine and kept giving the ball back to Wolves. Listen, Wolves deserve something from this game. If they'd got a point, I would absolutely not have complained. They certainly didn't deserve to win. Liverpool missed a lot of chances as well as Wolves did. So, yeah, but for I don't know, a good 15 minutes in that second half, Liverpool were... Well, they were absolutely opposite of a well-oiled machine, shall I say.
I feel like we've been here before with Liverpool in some matches this season where we've talked about, well, they're an oiled machine mentality, not at their best, get it done. This is extraordinary, this run.
I mean, you can't fault anything about this run. And though they may not have been at their fluid best during certain spells, they seem to get it done. And that's the mark of a good team. Of course, the mighty West Ham to come next week. That could all come off the rails then, but... We'll hold our horses for that point.
Yeah, I don't think the horses are going to
Horses are gone.
Just wait to see what West Ham have in store. But listen, Mane comes off, you understand. That front three somehow has to reorganise. Minamino comes on. It's not quite the same. But at the same time, I don't think we give Wolves enough credit for their approach in the second half as well. They pressed high up. I thought they were not showing themselves to be an outstanding footballing team. But Liverpool just head and shoulders above everybody else. To that point, and Stevie was complaining about Mo Salah last week. And again, I thought a performance from him that was frustrating. Whenever he gets the ball, he's got one thing on his mind, whether he's got support or not. And at times, I just feel that...
Liverpool are a million points ahead at the top of the table.
Yeah,
and we're still picking
I know, but
I'm
just... I sensed or felt Stevie's frustration with Mo Salah today.
And every day for that.
How do Liverpool keep doing this?
You know, I think as dominant as they have been this year, I really do think that this is somewhere down the road is going to hurt Liverpool. The fact that they keep going on this run and they're barely hanging on in games and they're vulnerable and they do enough to win. And it's great that they have this momentum and it's great that they have this run. But I think it's going to end at some point. And when it does, it's going to be difficult to regain that momentum because I do look at the 15, 20 minutes where Liverpool was struggling, and they were struggling to do basic things and maintaining possession of the ball. And they were vulnerable. And it looked like it was Wolves, the team that was more likely to win it rather than Liverpool. Now, having said all that, we go back to the point of Mohamed Salah. This game could have been over, done with, had Salah taken advantage of his opportunities. My bigger point about Liverpool is that you look at the totality of performances, and there's been too many of those this year where they do just enough. And if it was 1 or 2 games, you say, well, that's fine. You know, you just find ways to win. But when it becomes a trend, then you have to think about, okay, is this the way that they're going to win games throughout the year, or is there a reason to be concerned?
Can I rewind a little bit here? I was bringing this up because it would be too easy to just sit here every single time Liverpool go on the field and tell people how great they are. Mm-hmm. The reason I pulled up that 15-minute spell is to try and give something else other than tell you how brilliant he is. He is, the way they set up, the way they this, the way they that. This team right now is all about a mentality. Mm-hmm. Because if it's all down to ability, there are other teams that have got good players. But the way this team is set out, particularly with the 3 up front, every time they walk on the field right now, they know they're going to win. And who cares if you're not at your best? Mm-hmm. It's all about not losing now because of the invincible thing, but they think they're going to win every minute of every single game. So, again, let's not forget how great this side is. It is absolutely fantastic, and I think the only thing we can do is try and give other teams a little bit of something to grab onto why they might actually beat this team.
Like you know you're in a good place when the most critical thing anybody can say about you is, well, for 15 minutes there.
Aye.
But there's no coincidence that their performance dropped when Mane went off.
Yes.
How much of a concern is that going forward, in that we saw Klopp try 2 or 3 different tactical formations to try and address it, and none of them particularly worked that well?
Well, I think from Klopp's point of view, he'll be sitting number one going, well, you know what, we won the game.
Yep.
And I tried to play with 2 up front, and the setup didn't work at all. So you know what? I'm not going to do that again. I know they were playing against a good side, but if he knows that isn't going to work, then he has to be brave, because he's brave playing 3 up front anyway. He has to be brave and keep it at 3, because it completely knocks them out. You talked about an oiled machine. Well, when you go from 4-3-3 to 4-4-2, you're playing a different game. When you've got 3 up front, as Liverpool do, they don't even look and they don't even think twice. They get balls forward early. And you can do that with 3 up front. You can't do that with 2. And so they end up, Alexander-Arnold in particular, when he's playing balls forwards, ends up between 2 stools. He's not sure where to put it in behind. He's not used to trying to pick out somebody's feet particularly.
So why did he bring on Minamino and not Origi?
I don't know. Maybe he's trying to figure out, how's this guy going to help us? You know, this is a winning side. You can do that when you've got a team like that.
But I'm just looking at Liverpool's upcoming fixtures. West Ham, Southampton, Norwich. You've got Atletico Madrid a couple of times in the Champions League. You've got West Ham again, Watford, Bournemouth. Before you play Everton, March 14th. Even without Mane.
You think they can still win the league?
Well,
I think it's still possible, Chef.
Yeah, I mean,
2 games against West Ham. That'll be the deciders right there.
I'm sorry, Shaq. They could play Manchester City 3-4 weeks in a row, and it doesn't really matter. They could lose all those games, and it doesn't really matter.
Just saying.
Do you think I could play in this Liverpool team and they'd still win?
Oh, goodness.
No, steady.
I've seen you.
I don't know, 4-3-3 or 4-4-2.
I've seen you run in a straight line, and it is off-putting.
Julian, what do you make of everything that they've been waffling on about?
It all makes a lot of sense. I mean, the most impressive for me tonight, again, was that belief. It's a bit like what the Arsenal Invincibles at the time on that season. I think Liverpool go to every single game in the Premier League and probably in Europe as well, almost knowing they're not going to lose. Even if they struggle for 15 minutes, even if they're on the back foot for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, I think they have that core belief that no one can beat them. and that at some point they will have another chance to win the game or at least not lose it. And tonight was the prime example. I was watching that game thinking they will have another chance and they probably will take it. And that's exactly what happened. And I think the positive thing as well, and our club would be very happy, and Thomas Grönmark as well, the throw-in coach, is that second goal comes from a move that they probably worked a lot on at training, the movement of Firmino and Salah on that long throw-in by Alexander-Arnold, and then they get a bit lucky maybe with the way that Donker cleared that ball or half cleared that ball, and then Henderson slots it to Firmino. But it's, you know, you have a throwing coach. You're the only team in Europe in those big clubs to have a throwing coach. And on a game like this, where you're not really playing well, where you're struggling, then you pull out one of those moves that you work on at training. And I think that's even more satisfying.
Oh, you got him going, Jules. You got him going.
Throw-in coach. Seriously. Oh, no. Hold on a second. Oh, no.
We got a big one.
Oh, no, it's down. Because it came from a throw-in, it's well done, the throwing coach. Because you know what? We didn't have a throwing coach. That would never have happened. I mean, who do they blame when Alexander-Arnold whipped that corner in for Origi against Barcelona? Was that a corner, coach, was it? Absolute nonsense. Alexander-Arnold saw what was on and did it. Exactly what it did today. God, jeez. By the way, can somebody tell me?
What's the nonsense?
Hey, seriously,
what's
what
the
qualifications?
Okay, how much
qualifications
do
do
they pay
you
that
need?
coach?
Too much.
How much do they pay that coach?
Too much.
Why would they have a coach like that on the staff? Why would Jurgen Klopp insist for his contract to be renewed and with a pay rise only a few months after he arrived at the club?
Can you
Why
tell
do they
me?
have a throwing coach in the staff then if according to you, it's useless?
Okay, so when you're looking for a throwing coach, what qualifications do you need?
But the guy is a scientific. The guy's worked this.
Scientific.
You know, this is not just someone they picked out in the street. The guy, you know, the guy with Michelin, it was clear that that was working. That, you know, he improved the team a lot on that level. It's like set pieces. You work on set pieces at training. When you were a coach, you worked on set pieces, right? This is another set piece.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that crazy to have someone putting combinations together. It might not work and you might not benefit a lot from it in a season, but I think there's moments where, you know, you're going to do something with movement on the throw-in that the other team doesn't expect.
You know you're running away with the league when
seriously.
When the conversation is thrown.
Hold on. Have they got a goal? Have they got
a goalkeeper coach?
A goal kick? Have they got a goal kick coach?
But it doesn't hurt.
So they can walk on.
It doesn't hurt, does it?
I know it doesn't hurt.
So why would it make you so angry?
It just annoys me because people turn around and say, "Oh well, clearly they worked on that in training."
But they did.
Yeah.
You think Klopp is stupid?
Let me tell you. I'll tell you what. Do you know what, Jules? And I'm actually going to be really, really serious here, right?
Oh, okay. Here we go.
I would love, at the end of the year, when the goalkeeping coach at the end of the year looks at all the throw-ins, I'd love to know the percentages of what ones they ended up using and working during the season than the ones they didn't. And we're never going to know that. Because football, I'm not going to argue that Klopp's a sensible guy. He's a smart guy. He's got a throwing coach probably for a reason. My argument is, I mean, come on. I'm not so sure that none of them could do that. Are you telling me that Klopp and how many other coaches he got? 4? Are you telling me that they can't work out throw-ins?
But it works, clearly. They're a million points at the top of the table.
But that's what I'm saying. You don't know. That throw-in that happened today...
But why does it matter?
It just annoys me.
What annoys you more, throwing coaches or Salah?
Or throwing coaches. Throwing coaches. What?
A word on Wolves. Are they the best team that we've seen playing for a while who aren't Manchester City or Liverpool?
And who are willing to play the way that they feel comfortable playing, unafraid of the stage, unafraid of the team that they're playing against, whether that's Manchester City or in this case Liverpool, and utilizing their skill set and trying to maximize their potential as best as they can. The only player that I would say something about in this Wolves team in terms of not truly maximizing his ability and his skill set is actually the player who was most dominant today, and that's Adama Traore. There were moments in which he could have just ran by people, and instead he's passing off the ball or taking shots from 35 yards out. If they haven't been able to stop you in a one-on-one situation with space in front of you, keep running, baby. Keep going until somebody stops you. Klopp said it after the game. The only player who was stopping Adama Traore was himself. Nobody else could keep up with him.
He's so much fun to watch.
Yes, it is.
Because you feel like you can just do anything.
Well, you know what? It's so much fun to watch now because something's happened to this guy between the start of this season and now.
I think it was the throwing coach.
Yeah,
Must have been.
Because previously with his other clubs, yes, he had... I mean, you talk about just blind pace, but he would stand on it, he would pick the wrong pass, he would hit it too far ahead, he would hit it into the defender. All of a sudden, he's putting everything together. And I'm going to go against what I've just been talking about. You have to give credit to the coaches at Wolves because he's always had the tools. It just needed somebody to help him put them all together. And clearly, the coaching staff at Wolves have done that.
He's certainly matured during the course of the season. You saw a preview of his finishing just a few weeks ago from the top of the box, and then today the cross for the goal, the cross that should have brought the equaliser. I don't think either of those is happening in September, let's say.
But to Ali's point, it's almost like, right, you did it and it was a great ball for the goal. Why can't you do it more?
I think the challenge with Traoré is, and especially, kind of give him his own maturity during the course of the season. Early on, he gets the ball, he just runs. Regardless of where he's facing, he seems as though he's just running. And now you're seeing him trying to bring other players into the game. And as a result, has lost some of that directness. And now, I think you'll get the best out of him when he finds that right balance. But I think it's moving in the right direction.
But the sequence for their goal between Jimenez, the hold-up play by Jimenez, the turn, then the pass to Traoré, and then the movement of the ball by Jimenez inside the 18-yard box tells you all you need to know about Wolves. There's an idea as to how they want to play. The execution was there. The final ball was there, and then the final touch was there for Jimenez. Jimenez, who, again, had a wonderful game. And he gives you so much movement that when you couple that together with what Traoré is doing down the right-hand side, it makes it difficult to keep up with Wolves.
Well, Jules, if you're Wolves at the moment, you just send your C team in the Europa League, don't you? Because this really is a top 4 place that they can grab.
You're right, and I really wonder what Nuno would think about the Europa League, and it's great for them to be in Europe, but now that they clearly have a chance to try to nick that 4th place in the league, you do wonder if they maybe wish they were not going to play Thursday night and Sunday afternoon and Thursday night and Sunday afternoon again. And I agree with everything the boys said. And also the good news is that Diogo Jota is going to come back as well, because Neto is a good little player, but he's not as good as Jota. And I think the front three with Jota, Jimenez and Traoré is even more of a threat. And if Jota can recapture the form that he had before his injury, it would be even more interesting for Wolves towards the end of the season.
9 more matches unbeaten. That's what Liverpool need to match the record set by Arsenal back in the 2003. No, well, he does not a defender.
Yeah, but... Listen, if he's going to score goals, the only thing you can say is that he's got a better chance against teams like Brescia than he has against the so-called better team. Because he's probably going to get a couple of chances.
Give me a Steve Nicol percentage.
No. No, he's not going to score. I'm going to say...
No.
I'm going to
0%.
I'm going to say he's not going to score. Because to me, this guy is in the team, honestly, not to be the goal scorer, but to be involved in the play. So I'm going to say he won't score. How about that?
Right. So are you going higher or lower than 0%?
I'm confident I'm higher. I'm going to go 54%.
What? 54. That's the line.
I'm going to take it 2/3 of the way, 66%.
Right.
Oh. That Zlatan scores. And because you can argue that, well, now he's getting in shape.
Yes.
He's getting fitter, sharper.
Yeah.
And if you're playing against Brescia, you have a chance. 66% chance.
Where are you going, Jules?
Yeah, I go around what Ali just said, around 60-70%. I think he's getting fitter. I think the work at training with his teammates, getting to know them better. We saw that cross from Theo Hernandez, who has been Milan's best player, or be a left back this season so far, and that link up between them two. He played well with Rafael Leao as well in his first few games. So I think it's encouraging, and I would go 70%.
Meanwhile, in Germany, it's some title race, isn't it, at the moment? Tomorrow, Borussia Dortmund in action against Cologne. Dortmund, of course, had that extraordinary game last week, which saw Erling Haaland come off the bench and get a hat-trick on his debut. Lucien Favre talking about the possibility of him starting. He hasn't trained for a long time. He has to keep working.
then absolutely you start him.
But couldn't you start him and then take him off if he's not?
Absolutely, I'd start him. Listen, you score a hat-trick on your debut coming off the bench. Listen, I understand the concern that he has to get match fit, but also Dortmund haven't been getting goals from the strikers. Jadon Sancho is their leading goal scorer coming from midfield. Royce with 9 seconds behind him. You need that point man. And I think Haaland gives him that. I'd start him, no question.
Can I just ask a basic question? The guy's 19 years old, right? How much out of shape he could be right now?
He was running around the schoolyard just last week.
Honestly, what are we talking in terms of, well, he needs to get endurance and strength and stuff.
Yeah.
Come on, man. At 19, you just put the ball out there and play. I understand that there is something to making sure that you've trained and you're fully prepared. You don't want to risk injury. But when you have a guy that comes off the bench and scores a hat trick, how do you then tell him, Erling, thanks but no thanks? Yeah. We think you're better off in the bench.
Jules, it's been quite the week for him. Even England took notice of what was going on in Germany.
Yes, massively over here. I mean, just to go back on the fitness, he had a little knee injury when they were on the training camp in Spain before the end of that winter break. And maybe that's why they want to take it slowly, so you don't want maybe him to aggravate that injury or something like that. But it was incredible. Although in Germany, they still have that debate about the hat-trick because they said a real hat-trick is the one over just one half and uninterrupted, which is not what he did. So, but regardless, it's incredible to score like that on his debut, like Aubameyang did, by the way, against Augsburg as well in his first game for Dortmund back in 2013. But really, and as a PSG fan, I'm starting to get really worried on how much he can bring to that team going forward.
Oh, you just worry about Nay's party, Jules. Just a reminder, check out all the latest transfer talk, rumours and gossip. You can go over to our website. Manchester United fans will not need reminding of this fact that since he was made permanent manager, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has lost more Premier League games than he has won.
Remind them anyway, Dan.
Well, Mark Ogden certainly reminded them he is not impressed with what we've seen. This is what he had to say in his latest article about United. There are many issues that must be resolved at United, but is negligence on the part of the Glazer family, the club owners and executive vice chairman Ed Woodward, if they believe that Solskjaer really is the best man available to manage the team. It comes across as the dumb and dumber approach to running a football club. Stevie, you weren't here yesterday after that defeat against Burnley.
What a surprise. Wasn't a surprise.
You said, actually, didn't you?
I said the day before when we were talking about the game, I said, I'm trying to figure out who's going to score a goal. Because Rashford's out. Who's going to score a goal for Man United?
That is how low your Manchester United have fallen, that at home against a struggling Burnley side, it's no surprise that they lose.
No.
Yet, there is people who still support this manager.
Do you know, right, I don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer should be the manager. There's no way in my mind he had any sort of CV to suggest that he could manage Manchester United. However, I'm not quite sure, regardless of who the manager is, that they've got players that would benefit from a better manager. They're just not good. They're horrible. There's questions about the goalie. There's questions about the back four. Listen, Harry Maguire makes a difference for me, but I'll tell you what, he was at fault for both the Burnley goals. There's 80 million. You look at the middle of the park, Matic and Fred. Is anybody in the Premier League scared of Matic and Fred in the middle of the park? No.
Manchester United are.
Well, again, I mean, Phil Jones, good professional, but he shouldn't be playing. I mean, what's good about this team? The names on the back of the jersey. I'm suggesting that regardless of who the manager is, whoever's been in charge of recruitment has absolutely 100% made an absolute mess of it.
And it's not as if they haven't spent money. Extraordinary figures revealed. This is from the 2013-2014 season. The net spend, 245 million for Manchester City, 705 million for Manchester United, eclipsing so much that of the likes of Liverpool. Jules, we keep hearing about how Ed Woodward is a great businessman, he's done everything right with the club. Who's at fault? Who has spent all this money? Who's wasted it so much that Man United are in this dire situation that they've spent 705 million euros?
Well, Ed Woodward is the man, really, the one in charge of running that club on a daily basis, the one who He's signing off the paperwork for transfers, who's also very much involved in the transfer negotiation. He's got Matt Judge with him, who went to the same university, who used to be an investment banker before going to United back in 2012. And since 2016, really, Matt Judge is in charge of signing players, doing all the deals and the negotiating for transfer fees and wages and all of that. I repeat, he used to be an investment banker. That's who today sorts out the transfers and the wages for every new player that Manchester United want to sign. Alexis Sanchez, for example, it was such a great idea to give him all that money. Fred, a great idea, and all those wages they gave to very average player. And then even below those two, you've got someone like John Mortar, who's a good guy. He used to be the head of the academy at Everton, where he knew David Moyes. He came to United with David Moyes in 2013, and now he's head of development at United. I just don't think he's the right man for that job. But maybe the biggest problem is that they don't have a proper sporting director. I guess Murto, he's the one who's the biggest sporting director, but they don't have a Chiki Begarishan, they don't have a Michael Edwards, they don't have someone like that who has a great contacts in the world of football, who knows exactly what he's talking about, who knows exactly what he's doing, who knows agents, who knows other sporting directors, who know CEOs and all of that, and who's good at those kind of things. And maybe that's what they need the most and lack the most of.
What an absolute mess it is. We've talked about it so much, and you can check out the content over on the website, including Mark's latest article. Be sure to join us tomorrow. Sid will be here looking ahead to Valencia against Barcelona, plus we'll be reflecting on AC Milan against Brescia. Viral video of the day. Well, having in Paris, the Greek freak, Giannis here showing a pretty good touch.
Giannis what?
Giannis, the Greek freak.
And his last
name? Greek. Okay. Of course, the Bucks are taking on the Hornets in Paris. Nice touch there.
Hello.
A few watching there. Not quite as many as turned out to welcome Chicharito. Already, though, he's caused a bit of a storm. Was caught on camera telling his dad that it was basically a move which was the start of his retirement. This was him responding to that today in his first press conference as an LA Galaxy player.
I think in all over the world, but in my country, we love and we are like obsessed with drama and excess. So when you say retirement, it's like, oh, tomorrow is going to announce retirement, you know? They don't really listen what I said, the beginning of the retirement. This retirement could last 10 years. You never know. It's the beginning of the retirement. We'll see how long it's going to be. Hopefully that beginning is going to last so long, you know? And then I will retire at 40, playing in Australia. I mean, just for doing an example, no? Because if I mention now Mexico, again, drama, I mention another thing. So yeah, I think sometimes they don't really listen the words and they just want to get what sells more sometimes. So it's just the beginning of the retirement, yes, but I want to create that retirement as greatest as I can.
Just a reminder, you can see Chicharito in LA Galaxy shirt.
So is he retiring or not?
It's the start of drama. Okay. That's all I know. Drama. Right. That's all
I like the excess bit.
It is, of course, ESPN Plus, once again, your home for all out-of-market games. By the way, go over to the website. Really interesting article, kind of behind the scenes from Tom Hamilton, talking about Josh Gatt and the struggles that he's had over the years with injuries and trying to get back into the game. All that throwing coach talk means we've got to be quick with the power rankings, Shag.
Why? What if I don't want to be quick?
Well, we've only got 40 seconds
left. Stop stalling! Stop stalling!
Liverpool,
remains the gold standard of power rankings. Inter draw, you're out. Flamengo, I'm sorry. I showed you as much love as I could.
I wondered when they were getting thrown out.
Because the rest, as you would expect.
Should have been thrown out weeks ago.
No, it just shouldn't.
Yes, they should.
Dortmund come back off the Christmas break with a bang. They're in. Lazio, the form team in Serie A. Never mind. Well, they lost to Napoli in the Coppa America. They dropped a couple.
Coppa America?
Coppa Italia. Coppa Italia.
It's a different tournament, Shaq.
So I'm trying to confuse
different continent.
Look at Leipzig and Bayern, though.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that.
Look at that.
Well, hey, listen, you've got to get some right out of 10.
Well, there we go. Good.
You've got to get some right out of 10.
Forward to that Napoli's progress in the
odds
Copa
tell me
America.
that.
Copa
Until next time,
America.
goodbye.
How's Venezuela doing?
Welcome into Extra Time. Thank you very much for all your tweets. Lots of them today. A lot of them regarding Liverpool. Mo Salah is so overrated. I can see why Stevie gets frustrated with him. He's not the same player he was 2 seasons ago. Thoughts?
I think overrated is a bit harsh. I would certainly agree that he's not as good as he was 2 seasons ago. But the problem is, as many mistakes as he makes in a game, usually he'll turn around and does something that kind of makes up for it, like the goal he scored at the weekend.
Yep.
So, yeah, not at his best. He's not overrated. Somewhere around.
Not exactly the most efficient striker in the world. Not the most effective.
I triple captained him in my fantasy, Jules. Did you this week?
I triple captain Mane. It's even worse, man. I don't even want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it.
Hey, I'll tell you what.
I don't want to talk about it.
I'll tell you what you should have done. You should have captained the throw-in coach. That's what you should have done. How many points you get for that?
Good form. He could be a coach.
Good form. How mental did Mo Salah have Stevie during the course of this match?
Aye. Well, you were sat with me,
Yeah,
and
I
he
was
was
sat with
through,
Yes.
and all he had to do was swing his right boot at it, and then he tried to get on his left, and then, of course, when he should have passed it to Chamberlain, there's no way. And I was sat like that, with my arms crossed, and going, there's no way he's going to score it.
Yeah, you were with your arms crossed.
With my arms crossed.
Are you going to keep your arms crossed now?
I remember when your arms were crossed.
That was a very that relevant part of the conversation.
I didn't want to hit me mic, so I was very
It's like a
careful what I was doing.
dream of genie there for a second.
I've never heard a nice word said about zonal marking on a set piece, especially from the FC crew. So why do so many seem to use it throughout football? You like zonal marking, don't you?
When I was coaching the Revs, that's exactly how we defended. And I'm going to tell you that we had one of the best defensive records against corners of anybody in the time I was there.
What about throw-ins?
Throw-ins, I don't
Well,
know.
they didn't have a coach. They didn't have a coach.
I need to see the stats. But corners, no, absolutely. 3 along the 6-yard box, 1 in front, 1 on the post. Extra 1 would go out if it went short.
Yep.
And then you have somebody on the edge of the box.
Shaka, what did
I
you prefer?
hate zonal marking.
Yep.
I hate it. I just feel that you can identify a weak spot and put your best man in that spot.
By the way, can I tell you where I got it from? The all-conquering Liverpool size of the 70s and 80s. That's exactly how we did
See,
it.
that's
That's exactly how we
You're
did
stuck
it.
in the past. That's it. That's
So all it goes to show is, it's not the actual zone of marking that's the problem. It's the people that attract.
How about you do a hybrid? You can do some zonal and then some man-to-man. So you pick up a guy like Sergio
we
Ramos.
did.
A guy like Sergio Ramos, you don't let him have a free run because if he has a free run, chances are he's going to get him the
No,
end.
we did. We had 3 picking up.
Yeah.
Everybody else was in the zone.
So you're a hybrid. See, you didn't even know you were in an advanced.
No, well, there's not.
That's too big. It's too big a word for Stephen.
I can't imagine there is a team that
They
has
mixed
10
it.
outfield
They
players.
didn't have a hybrid.
doing
They
a
mixed
zonal
it up.
marking.
They had a mix.
How does here we go? How does Shaka pick his rankings? While he's asleep or while he's having a few beers with the boys?
Hey,
Shooting in the dark.
I'll have you know, it's a highly scientific
Shaka, I can ask you to give you
formula.
the rankings now, and you would give me a different rankings than the ones that we did in the show.
That's not true.
Definitely. There's no way.
why is he going after you?
I don't know.
Well, because it's the truth.
Why are
If
you
you
going after
asked
him?
me to give you
Because it's the truth.
my rankings now,
Terrible.
I'd say no.
I respectfully decline.
Oh, dear. What's up with Jules recently? He's getting angry at Darky,
Yeah.
taking calls during the show.
He
Yeah.
got angry at me because I brought up the
Yeah.
the throwing coach as well.
Exactly. He was so angry.
Goodness.
Yeah. Late a lot. Late a lot.
Late a lot.
Late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is too much going on.
Yeah.
What's going on?
There's a lot going on. That's right. I work too hard, too much.
Aren't you going to Paris for the NBA tomorrow? That's not work.
That is not work.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'll be there. I'll send you a few photos.
Are you going with Nay?
No.
I think I believe that maybe there'll be a few PSG players in there. And by the way, there won't be a big party for Ney's birthday next month.
Why not?
It's
This
maturing,
time
he's growing up.
we do it smaller this time.
No, that's what he's told you, Jules.
You're just not invited, that's all.
It's a surprise.
Should Wolves be considered a serious contender for Europa League? Their performances in Premier League certainly make a case for this. Jules?
No, because as we explained rightly on the show, they will field a weakened side on Europa League to focus on the Premier League, where they have a chance to finish in the top 4, and that would be the right thing to do. They don't have enough depth in the squad to do, to put two very strong teams in both competitions. I think they will have to choose, and surely the Premier League will take priority over the Europa League.
Final question is for you, Shaka. From Shakalaka Boom Boom.
Yes.
Can Shaka say Edward Woodward 5 times as a birthday gift for me?
Edward Wood, Edward Wood, Edward Wood, Edward Wood, Edward Wood, Edward Wood.
Edward Woodward.
Edward Woodward.
Edward what?
Edward Woodward.
Oh, I thought you say Edward Woodward.
Edward Woodward.
Edward Woodward, Edward Woodward, Edward Woodward, Edward Woodward, Edward Woodward, Edward Woodward.
Happy birthday! There you go.
Do you know what?
Hey, that's more impressive than
Do you
your
know
top
what?
10.
If only we could slow that down and actually know if he was saying that, because it sounded like Edward Woodward to me. Not Edward Woodward.
Who says Edward Woodward? It's Edward Woodward.
I just said it. What are you talking about?
Who says that?
Woodward. 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 Edward Woodward.
Can we bring a coach for this too?
Yeah, Jules, can we get a speech coach?
Can we get an Edward Woodward?
We need a speech coach.
Edward Woodward coach.
There we are. Good. That is it. ESPN FC will be back on your screens tomorrow. Sid Lowe will be here. Ali Moreno,
Hey.
Craig Burley, Shaka Hislop. Oh, it's very exciting.
They could get a baseball coach for football. They could stand at the side and do all kinds of signs and all that.
That's good,
All right.
Stephen.
Okay, thank you for that.
That's another one.
If you're
To go with
available, to be
to
fair,
go with
at
the
the moment.
throw-in coach.